Welcome to Renegade Thinkers Unite, a show that will help you transform your marketing from mere messaging to programs that break the rules and make a difference. Join the movement today and learn non-traditional techniques that give you an edge. Now, here's your Chief Marketing Renegade, Drew Nizer.
Exciting episode for you all to listen to today. I'm trying something a little bit different. I'm giving you a sneak peek at what the episode is about. We talk about a program that Lucidchart did that was wildly successful in terms of videos. They created these videos using their product that were based on memes that are out there in the universe, and they've gotten literally, 50, 60 million views of videos. It's a fascinating conversation built on a culture of experimentation. And with that, we'll go to the show. I'm starting a list of things I never expected to say on this show. Today's entry is, my guest today is a Peeps torturer. Now, seriously, on his company bio, there is a 4-minute video that shows Peeps, those adorable marshmallow bunnies that never hurt anyone, being subjected to nail guns, sledgehammers, blowtorches, and even a pasta extruder. The video is complete with dramatic music. And by the way, we'll link to it in the show notes. But it must have a story behind it. And before we get to his day job and talk about marketing, we're going to find out what the story is with the Peeps torture. So Nathan Rawlings, CMO of Lucidchart, welcome to Renegade Thinkers Unite.
Well, thanks for having me.
So what is the story behind, what's your fascination with torturing Peeps?
It has a fairly benign beginning, and then it just went from there. Years ago, my wife and I were at my brother's house outside of Boston around Easter, and we were making creme brulee, so we had to blow torches out, and I saw a marshmallow peep nearby and decided I had to give it a shot, see what would happen as we took a blowtorch to a marshmallow peep. It was something like the space shuttle re-entering the atmosphere. It was completely impervious to the blowtorch for quite a while, and then it just combusted in this black goo. And so that just led us down this path of trying to find all sorts of different things that we could do with Peeps. And so, as you said, the video shows a bunch of different things. We've shot them up in rockets. We've done all sorts of things. So every year it's kind of a task to see if we can come up with something new to do to a marshmallow peep.
And this is a family activity?
This is a family activity. I now have teenage kids who get in on the fun and try to come up with something creative every year.
And have you heard from the folks at PETA, the animal protection people?
No complaints from PETA yet. I look forward to that.
Okay.
A little bit of publicity.
All right. And then we almost have something in common in that you almost went to Duke Law School. And again, that's on your bio. What happened? So
I took a year off between undergrad and going to, I was planning on going to law school. This was right during the .com boom, right at the early stages of it. And I joined a little software company for a year, thinking I would just take a breather before going to law school, and absolutely fell in love with the software industry. And so I never showed up to law school.
Well, I'm sure they missed you down in Durham, and you missed an amazing experience. It was 4 years, great years of my life. I talk about Duke a lot on this show. So, all right. So let's talk about marketing and Lucidchart, and what have you done so far that really helped Lucidchart cut through?
Lucidchart is an absolutely fascinating business in that we, over the years, the team here has built up just a highly scientific approach to marketing, where we understand what our customers are doing, what they care about, and are just built an absolutely fantastic way of going out and acquiring customers. What we've been layering in over the course of the last year since I've been here is that really taking it to the next level in terms of our vision of what the product can do and new ways of going out and trying to get our message out to the masses.
So Lucidchart, basically I went on and went onto the website and basically it allows you to, on the cloud, make a wide range of charts, whether it's a organizational chart or a sort of a mind mapping chart or all these things. You can do it on the cloud, right? That's a pretty quick summary of the tool itself.
Yes, spot on.
Okay. And so you've been good at acquiring customers, meaning you've created demand generating programs. What has worked for you in particular in that area in terms of demand gen? And then we'll come back to layering on the vision.
What has been most successful for us over the years is that for most people, they know that they want to accomplish something. I want to create an org chart, or if I'm a software developer, I know that I need to create a resource diagram. So I go out and I search for those things, and we've just built a fantastic engine for capturing any of those things that people are searching that they want to do, and then have built a highly efficient funnel for getting people into the product, experiencing it, and then making customers with them.
So search, which is ground zero of marketing. What have you done? I noticed that you had this thing that a search partner of ours called a 6-pack. When you search the Lucidchart, underneath there comes sort of 6 different expressions of the brand, which says that you have a pretty good SEO, website. What did you do specifically in search that helped you, whether from a SEO standpoint or an SEM standpoint?
So interestingly, I think it's largely just basic blocking and tackling. We have a team that is fantastic at going out and understanding what people are searching for, and then building out the pages that help speak to exactly what that user cares about. So we are constantly looking for new types of diagrams or new ways of thinking that people are looking to pursue, and then ensure that we've got the content there on the website to capture them.
And, it's interesting to me. So a lot of folks listen to Renegade Thinkers Unite and they're looking for the wow and they want to get to the wow. And I am all about the wow, but I will tell you this, that when you, are managing a campaign and a big idea, you still need sort of what the blocking and tackling as Nathan described it. You need this core foundational website. Whatever it is that you're going to do, you have to have those things in place, because if you do this amazing cool, whether it's a guerrilla program or some kind of social viral, if the website isn't ready to receive these folks, it's all in vain. And so I just want to make sure that folks listen, that even though we're talking about Renegade Thinking starts with this notion, do the basics, get that stuff down before you get crazy. All right. So,
and that's actually, if you don't mind me going into that in just a bit more detail, it's interesting as I think about my experience here at Lucidchart. And as I came on board, I checked out our website and I wasn't thrilled with it. It didn't look the way that I wanted it to look. And I thought that we could change some things in the navigation. And as I talked with the team here, what I discovered was that there were specific reasons why everything was the way that it is. And as I pushed on things like, let's change the nav color to a different color, the reaction I got was, well, we've experimented with this. And if we change the color to the color that you want, what we'll see is that registrations are going to be affected in this way, and even payments are going to go down. So, maybe this isn't the place to be creative. So one of the ways of renegade thinking is understanding that there are times where data trumps creativity, and there are other times where you can go out and you can be very creative. But you've got to understand in either of those cases which path you should be taking.
That's a really great point. It's a fascinating one, and I want to dig into that as we get into our next section. But we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about when creativity trumps data, or how you can use creativity to sort of test your scenarios and try to break them. So we'll be right back.
You've been listening to another great interview on Renegade Thinkers Unite with Drew Neiser. But the value doesn't end there. As a listener, you can download a free ebook from Drew, Renegade Thinkers, interviews with 11 trailblazing CMOs any business can learn from, top marketing thought leaders and proven executives from Time Warner, American Express, and Chico's, and others. Get your free copy at renegadethinkersunite.com/ebook. For listeners only at renegadethinkersunite.com/ebook.
Okay, we're back, and my guest today is Nathan Rawlings, who is the CMO of Lucidchart. And we've been talking about how sometimes practical effectiveness trumps creativity, which is a scary thing for me to say. I'm not even sure those words came out of my mouth. But anyway, so how have you sort of recognizing that you had things that worked really well, what did you find that was broken that did require some creativity that you needed to fix?
Well, for us, I think it's mostly been our desire to get beyond the traditional diagrammer market. So as we talked about earlier, we've got a fantastic engine for going out there and capturing people that know that they need a product like ours. But we know that there are millions of other people that actually need our product that they just don't know it. And so that's where a lot of our creativity comes in, where we are going out and trying to appeal to people that just wouldn't have ever thought about us to begin with. And to do that, we've tried all sorts of different tactics.
And that's interesting. Okay, so this is really important. So the basic, the low-hanging fruit here were the people who knew, hey, I need a chart. I'm doing a chart. Maybe there's a solution for me that's better than what I got in PowerPoint or a Gantt chart or whatever. So they search because they have a demand. But then you get to the point where you've saturated that market, and now you need to create demand, where you have to get people into the category and grow the category. So how do we do that?
So we have tried all sorts of things over the years, and one of the most successful is a campaign that we have run several times over the course of the last year, where we've created videos that explain some internet meme in one way or another via a chart. And the results have been just absolutely astounding. It started with an idea from one of our engineers who said, there's this internet meme out there around doggos. So the way that people talk about dogs on the internet. We should explain that via a chart. And so our creative team created a video that explains doggos very quickly. And over the course of the last year, we've had over 80 million views of our internet meme videos.
Wow. Okay, that's a big number. That is a big number. And is all of that organic, or did you also support it with paid?
We have started experimenting with some paid, but it's almost entirely organic.
Amazing. So let's break that down a little bit. So the engineers saw doggos. Now let's talk about the next one. How are you discovering these memes and knowing which ones to sort of jump on?
So we've done several things where a lot of it is we can see in the comments what people might be interested in. So we've gone into catos, and the most recent one that we did just in the last couple of weeks is what are called nopes. These are all new things for me. Nopes are, it's the internet way of talking about spiders. Oh. And, it's one that we launched last week, and it's already up over about 6 million views of this. And what's interesting is it's introducing all sorts of people to the idea of diagramming that would never consider themselves diagrammers. And there are all sorts of people that are watching these things because they're fun and are commenting about, well, this is the best advertising ever because you caught me with something that I didn't even realize was an advertisement. And so we're introducing all sorts of new people to Lucidchart and to diagramming that were never in that universe before.
And wow. Okay. So there's so many things that I want to comment on that are of interest here. One, you were using your product to talk about something that people were interested in. So you found this sort of intersection of culture and product, and then sort of layered a story on top of it and used your product to tell a story in a way that was highly entertaining. You had no idea that these would actually catch on, right?
Oh, we expected that we would get a few thousand views of the first one. It was completely astounding.
This reminds me, this is sort of the chart equivalent of will it blend? But in some ways,
it's true.
It's kind of an interesting torture test for your product because it allows you to say, all right, how do we tell this story? How do we explain this idea using charts, right? And so there's a lot of creativity that must be involved in this. And who's doing this work for you?
So we have an in-house videographer that's been doing it. He talks with different people in the company that are interested in a particular meme and gets the ideas, and then it extends from there.
Very cool. And I would love another example, because we're going to link to all of these. I'm finding this whole thing very inspiring and amazing. And I want to sort of make sure that the listeners get a chance to see these things. So you had catos, doggos, and nopes. What else?
Nopes. So far, most of our meme videos have been specifically around animal topics. They tend to be tremendously popular. But there's another video out there that of some guy saying, "It is Wednesday, my dudes," and just another simple meme that we were able to attach to, and it took off as well. So, most of these videos have been huge hits. We certainly have had some that we've had programs that were not, but so far these videos, we found a nice rich vein.
Well, yeah, and there's an endless supply of memes, and you can it allows you to always be part of an important conversation. And are you discovering these on Reddit or promoting them on Reddit? Because that feels like this is a very Reddit kind of a thing.
So this is it's kind of fun that you mentioned Reddit. Last year, or the year before last, so right before I joined, the team did something similar to these, where we actually created diagrams of all sorts of different on different topics. So a diagram of which droid are you for Star Wars or this or that. And those took off on Reddit until Reddit started to feel like this was advertising, and then they shut it down. Mm-hmm. So we found that Reddit is actually, it was an interesting way of drumming up interest for a while, but then it shut off. And what we had to shift our tactics to something new.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so when you look at these memes, so animal topics, obviously that's a big, everybody's interested in those. And God, my wife was showing me last night on some thing on Instagram with a cat giving a dog a back rub. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that just does really, really well. Talk about ones that haven't worked.
So the things that we have found that haven't been as successful, or we did one, for instance, around specifically around the internet and the Olympics and animals, and it because it was more time sensitive and it was more topical. It narrowed the audience. It didn't take off nearly to the extent that some of these others did. It still got hundreds of thousands of views, but it didn't break into the many millions like some of these other videos.
And let's talk about the ripple effect of these videos. So they're out there. How many have you created so far, by the way, these meme videos?
We've created, I'd have to go back, but 8 or so, I would say.
So yeah. 8 videos, and you're putting them on YouTube, right?
They are on YouTube.
Okay. What's impact has this had? I mean, because one could argue, well, you've gotten lots of views, but how has it impacted your business?
So we are very cognizant that the vast majority of the people that are watching these videos are probably not going to be customers. But we see this as the law of big numbers, right? Where if we can introduce a few 100,000 people to our product that never would have considered it before and are good candidates for using it, it's a huge win because they're relatively inexpensive and pretty easy to get out there. So, for us, that's the way that we justify it. Anecdotally, what we find is that we're discovering all sorts of people that know of us because of these videos. I'll give you just 2 quick examples. Had a colleague that was over in London on a business trip, was headed back from the business trip, dropped into a shop to buy a souvenir for his children, and he had a Lucidchart shirt on, and the shopkeeper said, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You're from that company that makes those videos." And similarly, a week before last, our head of engineering was picking up a rental car, and as he validated his email as lucidchart.com, the person that was helping him get his car paused and said, "Oh, you're from Lucidchart? You create the doggo videos. Those are the best advertisements I've ever seen." So we know that they're out there being seen. And, we see some of the halo effect of that. But overall, this is like any sort of brand advertising, pretty hard to track back to, direct registrations.
And so let's talk about the measurement factor. So you get these views. Have you seen any kind of corresponding increase in website traffic?
We can see an uptick in website traffic with some of the ones that spike for us, yes. But to be honest, we're not seeing a tremendous increase in registrations that we can directly track back to these. But again, overall, as we have millions and millions of people seeing these, our expectation is that over time it'll definitely help us increase our brand recognition and get more people to consider using the product.
Okay, this is amazing. I want to dive a little bit more into the analytics and some of the thoughts that you've shared. So we're going to do that when we come right back.
Hey, it's Drew. I was at a conference the other day and somebody looked at my saw lapel pen and said, "What's up with that?" And I said, "Well, what's the one thing that marketing has always had to do? Forget digital, forget all this stuff. What is the one marketing imperative?" And he looked at me and went, "Cut through." And I went, "Yes, ding, 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 ding. That's right. Cut through. That is what marketing must do." And it's not just cutting through the clutter, although that's really important, because if your marketing doesn't cut through the clutter, it's like the proverbial tree in the forest that falls and nobody hears it. But it's also cutting through the crap and the processes that inhibit innovation. We've been working a lot lately with some CMOs to help them cut through the crap and get at the essence of what is their big idea and how can they make a case to expand that idea across their business. That, to me, is cutting through.
Okay, we're back, and my guest is Nathan Rawlings, the CMO of Lucidchart, and we've been talking about this dream thing that so many marketers want is, give me a viral video. You have videos that have gone viral, and there's an interesting thing with whenever, and that used to happen to us, where brands would come to us and say, "Hey, Renegade, give us some viral videos." And we said, no, that's not the way it works. But you've talked about the challenge of correlating, this effort. But I wanted to suggest that one of the things that must be really fun is that your employees must really like this.
It's fun because it started with an employee that wasn't in marketing that came up with the idea. And so, there are lots of people that get involved in it. And beyond that, it's hard to track the numbers directly back to a bunch of registrations. We have a pretty steady flow of stories coming into the company of people that say, "By the way, I was introduced to Lucidchart because of these videos," or I mentioned a couple already where people ran into someone that knew of the company because of it. And so that gets people pretty excited because, we have millions of people that know about us that otherwise would not have.
And so when you're sitting down with your CEO and he says, "Okay, you got these viral, you've got these videos that have got all these views. How have, and the board of directors that want to sort of say, I only want to spend money on things that drive the business forward. How's that conversation go?"
Well, we are lucky to have a board of directors that wants us to do more of this.
Okay. So obviously somehow or other they've seen them, they like them. Because one of the things that it says is that your business is fun. There's some creativity involved in this. And it says something wonderful about the brand itself is that, this isn't just a dumb chart. This is about communicating and having some fun with communications.
Well, I think you just nailed it there, which is, it goes back to a point that we talked about earlier in the podcast, where we are trying to introduce new people to the product. And the way that we see it is that this way of communicating is the most natural way of communicating. If we sit down and if you and I were in the same room, we'd be up at a whiteboard or sketching on a piece of paper and we'd be drawing things out. But the challenge is that when the Office suite was codified, computers weren't sophisticated enough to allow us to draw things out. And so we all got used to just writing text and considering that that's the way that we communicate. And what we're doing, the way we see it, is we're bringing the natural way of communicating to the masses. And so these things are fun because, you start seeing people recognize, oh, wait a second, I had forgotten that I could actually communicate this way. I could draw something out and I can get my point across.
I suddenly went back to cave drawings. But
it's the most natural way of doing it.
Right. So we've talked about these videos now. So looking ahead, do you have a steady stream of these? Do you have a sort of monthly plan? How do you go about it moving forward?
We have a few more in the hopper. We honestly we keep a pretty tight leash in terms of timeline on these things because we're frequently reacting to what we're hearing from the people that are watching the videos in terms of new ideas. So they tend to be pretty free-flowing.
Meaning it's sort of when the right meme comes in, this seems like one that we could have fun with. It's not sort of, all right, we're going to get one of these out every month from here on out.
Exactly.
I see. So waiting for that, the right moment and not trying to force it is interesting. You've said a couple times that you've gotten feedback. Has a community sort of built around these videos?
The feedback that we get is mostly through comments on YouTube and Facebook and, through these viral sites. And it is to the point where, earlier you mentioned Reddit. And one of the things that we found is that there was a discussion going on in the community on Reddit where they buy and sell stock essentially in memes. And someone pointed out that a particular meme around doggos must have gone too far because someone had created a video about it, an advertisement. And the community actually jumped all over it and said, oh, no, actually, if Lucidchart is creating a video on it, then its stock is going up. And so, you really do have this vibrant community of people that are not only interested now in Lucidchart, but in the intersection of Lucidchart and these memes.
It's a fascinating world and a scary world. Anybody who's ever read comments on YouTube knows that there is no holes barred. It's a scary world when it comes to comments on YouTube. I imagine not every one of them was positive, and you must have sort of had to sort of suck it up a little bit when you saw the crazies.
These ones have generally been pretty positive, but we've had other campaigns that we've tried that that go out there into the public where we've seen the negative side of the internet for sure.
And so when you look back at this program, what were some of the biggest lessons learned?
Probably the biggest lesson is just to start with some small experiments. When someone has a creative idea, give it a shot. I vividly remember the day that the team came to me and said, by the way, this engineer had an idea and we cranked out this video. Are you okay with us publishing it? And I had one of those moments of, I don't really see this being a huge success, but why not? Let's give it a shot. And had we not taken that shot, we never would have discovered this rich vein.
And what gave you the courage? And I'll say it took courage because it wasn't on the campaign chart. It didn't fit into the marketing plan. You couldn't put a direct measurable on it. What gave you the courage to sort of give it a shot?
Honestly, it was pretty easy, and I can't take any credit for this. The team here has built a culture of experimentation, where over the years they have been willing to try all sorts of things and then adjust based on that experimentation. And so it wasn't really a big stretch at all just to say, hey, this is yet another experiment. Let's give it a shot and see what happens.
What a great statement. A culture of experimentation. That is a moment that I suspect a lot of people are thinking about in terms of their company and whether or not they work in one. Because it's so true. If you don't have a culture of experimentation, then you are really up against it. It's very hard to try new things. The beauty of what you've described is that the internet, you can test a lot of things. I mean, you put a video out there. What's really the worst that's going to happen? But still, there's a lot of fear. So you having a culture of experimentation seems huge. I want to make another point. In fact, I'm going to try to summarize now if I can. So you have the first and foremost thing is make sure your infrastructure is set. We talked about a lot about getting your website, your search, your SEO, get the stuff that is there that will help the low-hanging fruit in your marketplace that will be searching for your products or services, can find you, find what they need when they go to the website. Don't make it any more difficult or fancy. Don't choose colors because they necessarily appeal to you. Make sure you've tested your way to success, when it comes to the website. Okay. Now, the next step is, we're gonna run out of juice. At some point, you need to create awareness that will drive people to the website. And so how are you going to do that? And that reminds me immediately of Byron Sharp and his book, How Brands Grow. And awareness is key, folks. And it doesn't matter what your category is. If they don't know about you, they can't buy you. So the fact that there might be some waste here is less important, because I think in your world, Nathan, that a lot of people could use charts. I mean, just about anybody with a computer, right?
That's the way we see it.
Yeah. So it's a big potential universe. So even though this might be described B2B, it's really B to human. And what you have done is put out a very human, compelling message. And I think or story. I'm going to call it story. And what's really fun is you found this intersection of culture and product, that you can sort of bring together, and in a unique way that only you guys can do, using your product. Using your product to tell a story, is a wonderful way of getting people to understand what your product can do. So don't be overly concerned about the immediate impact of this program. First of all, you're doing those videos in-house. They can't be costing you very much. So you can experiment and get there. So I've learned a lot. This is amazing. I think, kudos to you. Is there any other sort of lesson now that after hearing this summary, you go, oh yeah, I want to point this out?
Yeah, I think you nailed the summary, and it comes back to try a bunch of things. Have your strategy of we need to do more brand advertising, or we need to do more in this area, and then just try things. I think that experimentation is key. So, Nathan Rawlings, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And to all my listeners, once again, I encourage you to subscribe. That would be really cool. Share it with a friend who you think will find it of value and hopefully inspiring. And until next time, keep those renegade thinking caps on and strong.
This has been Renegade Thinkers Unite, but it doesn't end there. Just go to renegadethinkersunite.com for more and subscribe to the show. That way, you'll never miss an episode. We'll talk with you next time on Renegade Thinkers Unite.